Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States to the republic one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we get a roll call. Division 1, Ken Gerald here. Division 2, Jose Luis Benitez.
Present.
Division 3, Rebecca Vidor Burke.
Present.
Division 4, Edgar Castella.
Present.
Division 5, Ross Leisha.
Here.
Are there any presentations or recognitions?
None this evening, Madam President.
Are there any public comments? No, you don't have any. No. We'll go on to the consent calendar, which is just the board minutes and the approval of the motion to waive the reading of the text of all resolutions ordinances included in this agenda.
I wish to approve the consent calendar. Second.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. The approval of the motion to waive is a new one, isn't it? Or has that always been there?
Always been there.
Just don't notice it.
Just that you don't have to read the full resolution.
Okay, that's fine. For some reason, it looked new. Board action items, 5.1, approval and authorization to execute the amended and restated agreement for construction and acquisition of park facilities for Paradise Knolls project and authorization to reconvey or otherwise cancel related lien contract. Mr. DeWitt?
That was a long introduction, but that's what we're doing. As the board is aware, we have been in discussions with the developers of the Paradise Knolls project, the owners of it in regards to the parks related with the development there. Back in 2017, the board entered into a construction acquisition agreement with the developers for the development of what's referred to as the linear park and a potential second 4.6 acre park site. Due to a number of transactions between the developer, the city, in regards to this property, a 2.75 acre park instead of the 4.6 acre site became available. What this agreement does is allow for the acceptance of that 2.7 acre park, and essentially the developer will pay 100% to develop the linear park and the 2.75 acre park, as well as a payment to the district of 12.5% of the construction costs for us to manage the development of these facilities. In addition to this, the district will release the lien that's currently held against the property for the park fees. Is that enough in a nutshell, Bob?
Yes, I believe so. I would add that in closed session, this agreement was reviewed by the board and they had some minor changes that they requested in section 2 subdivision G, and they're not really that substantive, but very good comments actually. And then also in exhibit C. And so we'll be pursuing those with the developer before we ask Madam Chairwoman to execute the agreement. And we should be able to get that done in a matter of days, I would think.
Yeah, and just for reference, they're clarity items to make sure there's no confusion.
And so with that, it's the recommendation of staff that you approve the agreement substantially in the form submitted, understanding those are the changes we're going to focus on.
Any questions or comments from anyone? Okay. So Bob, what exactly would be the motion you would like us to do?
The one that's written there is perfect.
With the mentioned changes.
With the
Doesn't it say substantially in the form? Yes, it does.
yeah, okay.
That's fine.
Yes, so it's okay.
So it's okay as worded. Okay, so then I will move the board of directors approve and authorize execution in substantially the form submitted of the amended and restated agreement for construction and acquisition of park facilities for Paradise Knolls and authorize execution of a reconveyance or other cancellation of the related lien contract executed by the district August 8th, 2021.
I second that. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Madam Chairman, I will say, because I thought this was in there, we discussed this, that it does not authorize the general manager to sign all documents.
So,
I'm sorry, just caught that as we were making the approval, so. Do we need to
Do
reword
I
that?
sign this? Actually, I don't sign this agreement, Bob.
No.
Correct?
This is to be signed by the president of the board.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, all right. Just thought I'd bring that up to make sure
Okay.
clarification.
So once we get this finalized, we'll submit it to Ms. Johnson for her final signature. After the developer has signed it, then I'll get the report.
Okay, very good. So let's say it again. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, item 5.2, which is discussion and possible approval of the professional services agreement with Barry Dunn for the Park and Recreation Master Plan.
Yes. As the board is well aware, this is something we've been talking about for a while here. We have sought proposals for a consultant for our Park and Recreation Master Plan. We received 2 proposals. Both were actually very good proposals. The Park Planning Committee, along with Loretta and Ms. Whitney and myself, interviewed both consultants. We were very impressed with the proposals there. Based on some discussions amongst ourselves, we had some follow-up questions for both proposers. And based on those, we have recommended bringing forward a contract for Barry Dunn. We do have 2 representatives tonight on the call with us, Jeffrey and Tom, who we've been dealing with. They would probably be available for any questions as well. But as the board is well aware, this master plan will really become our roadmap for about the next decade. One of the things that our current master plan really lacks was the public needs assessment, which is essentially asking the public what it is you want and getting this validated support for it. That this is something that not only meets the current needs of our community, but is also following in lines with regional and national trends. This will be a huge support when we are working with developers on future projects, and we're talking about we need a soccer field or we need whatever it may be. It's not Colby saying this, or it's not the board saying this. This is our document that is supporting that going forward. So this will be a huge project for the district. We're really excited for it because this is something the district really has never in this capacity taken on. So we are excited for the proposal from Barry Dunn in regards to this. I think one of the things, I don't want to speak for the committee members, I want to give them the opportunity. I think one of the kind of deciding factors was the website that they prepare, the social interaction that comes with that. We thought offered a lot of great opportunities, as well as the proposed interaction at some of our events and activities. With that, I would be available for questions or turn it over to the committee members. Our representatives from Barry Dunn, I'm sure, would be willing to answer any questions. And I think when we're done, we'll give them an opportunity to address the board as well.
Well, your last comments did kind of address most of the deciding factors. Really, both came out to bid, had excellent proposals, everything just, Barry Dunn edged the other company out with the things that, Colby mentioned in my mind, especially the website and the ease of use and the way public would be able to interact with it and answer questions and everything was very impressive to me. And that was part of the reason that, I just personally decided to go with Barry Dunn. So their interaction with our public.
Same. I went on to both the other companies' website they provided us and Barry Dunn's to actually physically interact with the website, not just look at it, and it was just so much easier to use. And realistically, it's not that people don't know how to use computers, but it's that you want something that's so easy to use that they will use it, as opposed to, how you go onto a website and they say, give me your email address or this or that or the other, and you just say, I'm done, I'm not going to do it. And we just wanted that kind of ease of use. And that was the website that Barry Dunn will be providing us to use, and that was significant. But the two were very close, and we really had to get down into the weeds to really decide one or the other. So the great thing is, I think we would have had a good product with either. we would have gone with, and that's always a wonderful thing, but in the end, you've got to make a decision. And our decision was very done at the park planning level. You all, any questions from the non-park board, park planning committee people?
The website is, changing our current website or websites to be used for the process of the master plan.
Just the public facing process of the master.
And maybe, Tom, I hate to put you and Jeffrey on the spot here, but do you guys want to talk about your Berry Gun as a whole and your approach to this? We're focusing on the website, but it's a small portion of the grand process we're going to go through here. So I would let them maybe represent themselves too, and you can hopefully see why we were so impressed.
Okay, well, good evening, board. I'll go ahead and start, and I know Tom's on the call if he'd like to add. This is Jeff Milkus, and I've met some of you, I think. I'm calling in from Gresham, Oregon. I'm a former director of Parks and Recreation in California. And what I do is to assist organizations and districts and cities with their long-term master planning. Our approach is pretty simple. We'd like to provide you an implementable plan, something that you can kind of lean on and you can use that will work objectively for you, so that you can make choices and priorities in a way that isn't just, I wonder which one is better, but you can point to where and how decisions can be made. Our approach is rooted at the most basic level in what your community members tell us you want. So we reach out in many different ways. The social pinpoint site is just one, but that site gives you options to do all kinds of different prioritization exercises and in many, many different languages. So it's, again, as you said, it's an easy to use tool. But the statistically valid and open link survey will probably be our best tool to be able to really identify the needs in the community. It not only reaches out and catches people that are users of your parks and programs and facilities, but it has a way of catching those that perhaps may not be. And that's really important information for us. So we'll unpack your district, and we'll look at how your maintenance practices are and how your recreation programs run. We'll look at how your financing is and your organization is set up. We'll do some benchmarking exercises comparing you to local and regional organizations so that you have a kind of a general idea of which direction you want to go with some of your decisions. Down the road, the plan will come to you in various opportunities for feedback, as well as to the community. And again, we take all of those points of information that we receive, both qualitative and quantitative, and we list those out as the project goes on, and then come and do some visioning with you and visioning with your team, so that we can figure out what are the best approaches now that we know what we know. So in the very beginning, it's all about discovering. It's all about learning and meeting people. And I will be back and forth, as Tom will be, but as the project manager, I'll be back and forth many, many times to your community, not only to do the more formal approaches, but some of the intercept opportunities to catch folks, whether they're young people or youth, or whether they're the Latinx community or individuals that are advocating for those with disability. We will try to do what we can in several different layers of very robust public input. And we'll continue on until we know that we really understand what the key issues in your community are. So we listen to the community, we discover, we use the survey, we use the social pinpoint, we use on-site engagement, we use benchmarking, we'll look at trends, we'll dig into the demographics of the area. There's just a lot of pieces to it. One of the more important areas as well is to do what we call a component-based park assessment. So we'll go into each of your parks and we'll kind of open up the hood of the car, and we'll look underneath and see how things are running and literally rate each and every one of the components and amenities in your parks. We'll take a look how you stack up regionally and nationally with that, And then we'll identify those areas that you have opportunity for infill or improvement so that you can create a better level of service. For us, it's all about what the end user's experience is. And to that extent, what is that level of service in each park, and how does it affect not only the neighborhood where people live, but the community overall? So with that said, I think we have about a 14 or 15 month window to do this. So we start with kind of an introductory scoping phone call with Kobe, and we've already scheduled that. We'll be talking about dates to do a kickoff meeting that'll happen probably the following month. We'll be talking about starting the engagement, and it's an exciting time, and I think you'll appreciate kind of the involvement. But again, one thing about our approach is we don't come to your community, gather information, and then 6 months later provide you a written report. This is something that'll come to you in pieces originally, and that we'll work together on. And we have to be a team to do it. Otherwise, it just doesn't produce a result that's implementable for you. So with that said, Tom, do you have anything to add?
Yes. Hello, Jeff, and hello, board. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So as Jeff said, it's going to be very comprehensive, and we customize the things we're doing. You talked about our social pinpoint site. I believe we also plan to use something called Placer, which we'll be able to use to tell you where people come from to go to your facilities and where they go afterwards based on cell phone data. And we can do that both what's happening now and what's happened, as many as 5 years ago. But during that scoping call, we'll really kind of drill into exactly what you want from the engagement part. And then during the kickoff, even further. So, we gave you the big picture of what we're going to do, but we're going to work really hard to make sure that the engagement involves as many people as possible. And as Jeff said, throughout the process, we'll constantly be in touch with you, and it'll be a team effort with you, and you'll be very involved, and we're excited.
Well, one of the nice things about starting it when we are starting it is that we have, our busiest season of the year coming up for us. So they'll be able to be at the 3rd of July event, our biggest event of the year. We have our concerts in the park, be able to some of those. So I think that's great that public outreach is going to be able to happen at those events. Any questions?
Will you be able to, you said in different languages, will we be able to capture what those languages were that were actually used to gather the information you're looking for?
The social pinpoint allows the user to change the language for their purposes, but I don't know that we see that coming out of the social pinpoint data. But we do, and we can ask on the survey itself and determine what languages people speak in your community and how we best can communicate with them.
Well, and I'm glad to see and hear that, but I was just wondering if you could share with us what that was so that we can feel, if you will, that they did exercise on the opportunity as opposed to not exercising on the opportunity to give their input, what it is they're looking for. So if they change the language, that number then would be a number XYZ, whatever that might be. And I guess that's what I'm looking for. We would be able to tell us that.
Well,
we'll have to check, Jeff. We'll have to check to see if social pinpoint automatically tracks it. But I'm pretty sure when we set up social pinpoint, we can ask, like kind of the first question when someone goes there, what language is spoken in the home, or what language are you using social pinpoint in? So we'll work hard to find a way to capture that.
Yeah, I believe it's be very important based on the visits that we've had from the residents. They usually bring a spokesperson. So here they're going to be able to give their own input on a singular basis. But I'd like to feel comfortable that, yes, you had it available to you. Yes, you used it. And now we know. So there would be no doubt in my mind that we're capturing that. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds very reasonable. one of the things we also typically do with our survey is ask people what their backgrounds or ethnic background or race may be, and or if they're of Hispanic origin, and then we can cross-tabulate, pull that data out for just those subgroups, and it gets really interesting. We have to be, I would say, reasonable about it to make sure that we don't end up giving you a 1,000-page master plan, but we can decipher those neighborhoods where people live. We can decipher those that happen to have dogs or don't have dogs in case off-leash areas are important. There's just a whole lot of data. If you're a data person, you're going to enjoy this process.
Yes, thank you.
I had one question.
Bob, they already confirmed that will be adjusted prior to sending the final document for signature.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to get kind of an idea of the amount of engagement needed for the survey to be statistically valid. So I guess what's the pool size, the sample size that's needed?
The sample size is likely to be, make sure I'm not muted. The sample size is likely to be somewhere around 3,000, between 3,000 and 4,000 mailed surveys that go out. And typically 400 or so is a key number to get statistical validity. But what we do as well is really rely on what we call the open link survey, which is the same survey, but we encourage everyone in the community to take it. And then we're able to check and see how close the responses are. If they are very close, we can do some analysis combined as well as individual. But I would challenge the staff early on to pick a number, to say this is our goal for the number of surveys completed. It could be 2,000, it could be 3,000, it could be 1,000. It kind of depends on the community and depends on how much effort that the district wants to put into marketing and promoting the survey. But the more surveys you get, obviously, the better your response to is.
And we'll guide you every step of the way. We'll give you press releases. We'll, give you many different tools, and we'll be constantly giving you updates, every day or so once the survey actually launches, as to how many people are have responded, and we don't open the open link survey until we have enough statistically valid surveys.
Oh, interesting.
And just to
And you-
clarify, we're probably 5 or 6 months away from the survey, right?
Well, we have we've scheduled the scoping call, and then at that scoping call is when we will work to set up the initial kickoff meeting, and usually the quickest we can do our public engagement after a kickoff meeting is, the absolute quickest is like 3 weeks, but usually it's more like 6 weeks. So we're probably at least 3 months away from the draft of the survey. And depending on how much time it takes you to review the survey and everything. So we're probably 4 to 5 months possibly.
Okay.
But we will also look at during the kickoff meeting, where does that put us in the whole scheme of things? Sometimes we have projects that just based on the start date, the ideal time to launch a survey might be 4th of July week. And we'll all agree that's not a good time to launch the survey. So we'll delay the survey a couple of weeks, same with other holidays or different things, but we won't launch the survey until we're ready for it to be successful.
Yeah, if I could add, one of the deliverables that we'll be providing you will be a product that we'll work with Colby on, and that's a project schedule, and down to some pretty, tight different deadlines and a lot of detail. To the kickoff meeting, at the kickoff meeting, I'll have a first draft of that. And then, my hope is that we can sit down and go over it line item by line item and say, well, if we put this part of the project here, this is what's going to happen to the rest of it and such. So we can work together to try to mold that schedule to where it'll fit and meet your needs the best as possible.
Well, I'd like to go back to you made a note of the statistics that is important in the data. Did I understand you to say that you will recommend to us, or we would then be able to answer to you, that the sampling is not large enough for what we might feel the participation is? You said somewhere around 400. If that were, 500, 800, I mean, are we going to be able to come back to you and say, well, I still think that we haven't reached enough of the residents? Is that something we're going to be able to share with you?
Yeah, typically surveys will kind of slow down on their own. And one of the tools we have is that we can watch what the effect is of survey promotion. So if we're at 500 and you say we want to get to 700, and so you do email blast or social media blast or put signs in the parks, we will be able to tell immediately online and see the spikes in number of surveys returned. At a certain point, if surveys are not being returned, that's where we get together with you and make the decision, how many surveys is enough surveys for what we need now, and are we ready to slow down, or do we want to continue on a couple more weeks or what have you? Just to let you know, we also have a sub-consultant called RRC that is a specialist in this. And this is all they do. We've done probably 150 master plan projects with them. They will be able to guide us all each step of the way as well.
And I'd like to offer too that we have many touch points throughout the project, and Jeff does a great job of keeping track of all of the times we engage with people. And so we'll be letting you know how many people engage with us via the focus groups and the stakeholder meetings and the public meeting that we have in the beginning and the next public meeting and social pinpoint. And we don't make a decision just based on one thing. Like if we hear something in a focus group, that doesn't mean it's going to be a recommendation. And if we hear something, in the survey, that doesn't mean it's going to be a recommendation for sure. It has to, we have a key issue matrix that we keep track of everything. It really has to, hit in several different places. And we also are, confirming what our thoughts are with the board and the staff to make sure that they're implementable and achievable. But our survey firm will tell you that once we hit that statistically valid number, whether it's 300, 400, 500, they'll tell us how many we need to have based on the number of surveys that are mailed out. That typically the results of what we hear don't drastically change if we have 500 or 600 or 700 surveys. That's why statistically valid surveying works.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, anyone else?
Yes, on page 31 of the proposal, you mentioned strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Mm-hmm.
What's an example of a threat that our park district would probably face?
That's a SWOT analysis, and we do it with the staff. We don't do it with the community at large. We have typically we use a SurveyMonkey tool to develop that. And a threat, an external threat could be anything from, the economy. It could be another service provider opening up nearby. It could be change in the demographics. It could be change in the population. It could be that you have, an employer leaving town or coming to town. But, our survey tool, we actually give explanations for each one of for a strength, for a weakness, for an opportunity and a threat. And then your staff will help us identify what you perceive to be your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
That was well said, Tom. One of the greatest threats that we see agencies struggling with around the country, both in California, certainly here in Oregon, where I'm at and around, is the labor market and the ability to have enough folks that will apply to be, say, lifeguards. I've seen pools that normally would be open 7 days a week that right now are running on 2 days a week. They simply can't find lifeguards. Summer camps are the same way. So that's kind of an ongoing, those are examples of threats that we would, we might see or might not. We will, really focus on discovering and listening. I'm sure we'll get quite a bit out of that process.
Okay.
I'd just like to add that all the board members will be actively involved in interview processes and stuff early on for development of these surveys. And so just keep that in mind as well. And those will most likely be one-on-one interviews with the consultants.
If there's anybody else?
Well,
Yeah. Oh,
I have one question, but it's about the,
Sure.
shouldn't it say when you move board recs proposal, shouldn't it put Barry Dunn?
We had to read into
Yes.
that, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it should mention the.
Minor details.
I was gonna make the motion because I had already caught that and I
Okay,
wrote it down,
All
so
right.
it's all good.
Does the motion include, if we're picking option A, option B?
So we did not pick up option A or B at this point. We did not feel it was necessary. We can always add it down the road if we want to, but it's just a base proposal.
You comfortable with me making the motion then? Okay. I move the board of directors accept the proposal from Barry Dunn for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan in the amount of $264,105 and authorize the general manager to sign all necessary documents substantial to form.
we'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen, so
Thank
much
you,
for
Jill.
coming tonight. We
you.
really appreciate it.
Look forward to working with you.
Yeah, we can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to working with
Talk
you.
next week.
Thank you.
Okay, good
Take
night.
care.
Item 5.3 has been pulled from the agenda, so we do not have to deal with that tonight. Okay, item 5.4, Veterans Memorial Wall. Mr. DeWitt.
Yes, this is an item I brought to the board for discussion and input. As you know, the memorial wall is always held every May on the third Saturday, which is Armed Forces Day. We've advertised for, nominees for the wall, and we had not received any at the close of the nomination period. Clarifying to that, we did get a call from somebody that came in the office that said they had sent in their nomination via fax. We no longer have a fax machine. We have not had one since 2018. We don't know where this application has gone. They bring in a hard copy. It was lacking the DD 214, which is required to it. I have talked with the family and they are researching and looking into acquiring that document through the federal government. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I've had some different input from board members and I felt it was appropriate to bring it forward for discussion about what we do for this year. Do we cancel the event for the year? Do we have it at a later date? If so, what date do we look at? And going forward, what can we do to help ensure we don't have situations like this in the future? I can share, this is not the first time in the past that we have not had an application. There's also been times in which we have not had a ceremony. Most recently due to COVID, which is a complete different circumstance, but there has been instances in the past where the district went a year or two without a ceremony. There's also been times in which they held it on Veterans Day in November, and one year they did something on July 4th. So nothing's off the table at this point.
Well, I'd like to say that, well, I was on the committee, that I really felt, and I did make mention, wanted to propose and go forward with the fact that the constraint, as I felt, was the timing and slot that we made, that we would look for the nominations during that time. I did not know at that time that there was time that you did not go forward with the ceremony. So it was my understanding that the ceremony was part of who we are as Park and Recreation, that it was something that we did every year. Again, I never asked the question, but that is what I assumed. So having said that, I am really feeling disheartened with the fact that we still maintain that slot time and we did not get any. And the reason I felt that at the time that I was on the committee is because it does take a lot to get the paperwork, to get the people excited, to check and balance. So those months, I don't know why we make it just within those months. I'd like to see that it's a year-round thing that we do. That's my input. My second is that I think that we should always have it. As I said, that's what my thought was. And thirdly, where we're at today, I still feel that we should always have a celebration, a event that with or without names, I guess, is really what I'm saying. I read it and reread it and tried to understand where my thoughts were. So those are the few points that I wanted to make.
I've been thinking about it as well, and I think that there's some things that we can do to better get more, well, to ensure that going forward we have candidates. And one of the ways is that I think we have to be more proactive. I think a staff member has to be assigned to be of assistance to people who want to put their family member on the wall so they don't feel like it's just them trying to figure it out. I think also that, well, for example, if you go into the American Legion, if anybody's been in there, there's a whole row up by the ceiling, the photographs of every person who has ever been a commander from the time they started right after World War II in the 1940s up until today. Many of those people are no longer with us. Few of them are on the wall. So working with the American Legion to get applications in for their commanders, for example. I also think it would be useful if we had a list of people. So let's say we got 2 applications in, we've already got a list developed. We can take 2 or 3 off of our list to fill in and we move on with it. And then we have, 4, 5, 6 people on the wall. I also think that the way we've done it in the past, just telling people that it's happening is not working. We have to physically ask people, hey, did you have a relative? Hey, your parents, your grandparents here in Lago Valley? Oh, they were. Was your grandpa in the military? Oh, he served in World War II. What did he do in the community? Oh, he did Little League or whatever. Let's talk about that. Do you want the wall? Because, for example, after all this was coming down, I was talking just a few days ago, it dawned on me that a friend of mine has her father on the wall, but not her grandfather. Her grandfather, Merrill Loma, first commander of the American Legion Post. What was I thinking? So I text her, hey, on the wall. No, he's not. Would you like your grandpa to be on the wall? Now that you mentioned it, I really would love to have my grandpa on the wall. Okay, now I got myself another person that we can put on the wall next year. So I think it's that personal interaction that we have to do, that the staff has to do. We can't just have a stack of applications or hand them out to people or just generically put it on Facebook. For whatever reason, that's not working. And I don't know why. But it isn't. And so we just need to be more.
I think everything you just said, for me, what you just said is exactly why it hasn't been able to happen. It takes a committed person, if you will. It takes all of what you just said because it does take all of that one-on-one, but I think we have to really find a way to reach out beyond just the one-on-one conversation. Because you did well, the conversation you had, and it stimulated. So let's try to put that somewhere where everybody can see it. Well, I hadn't thought about what is written here or what it is that I just heard. Whatever that may be, I think that's where we're going to find out. Well, maybe we don't have names, but we do have the event because that's what everybody's looking for.
Right. I'm not against us having the event. My only concern is that, many times the people that are there because they know the person's being put on the wall. For us to go through staff putting on an event for 10 people.
Well,
I don't know how to make that happen.
But I have for many years gone to Rose Hills because I know it's there. I know they're going to do it. We need to build up that kind of reputation. If at that time that you're saying that you didn't have an event, maybe people were looking to go to an event, suddenly found out there was no event. They have no one to put on the wall. Maybe they don't have anybody that ran the service. I don't know. The point is, I I think what we're trying to deliver, thank you for serving, that's what the real.
Right, yeah, and you're very right. If we have it every year, people know we have it every year. Maybe more people will start coming because they know it's there. Of course, we've been having it every year. I was really disappointed because this time last year we had boatloads of people in our audience and they were invited to come to that event. I don't understand why nobody, why we don't get more people just in the general.
Yeah, I think it really, beat that, but I guess I would rather, and that's why the length of time that we're doing this, I think has to be brought.
And I think it has to be year round.
Yeah.
And I think we have to come up with people, to applications to put on the wall year round. I completely agree. With you. Starting like it, well, year round, but starting back in the fall at the very least.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know, not sure in terms of promotion. I think probably get creative, advertise it for July 3rd event or Veterans Day. Parade events where there's gonna be a big crowd where people know, okay, down the line, we'll have some application, something like that.
They had applications at the memorial or at the Veterans event last year, right?
Yeah, staff have been prepared. We have them at our booth. We had information, it's in both of our brochures that we mail annually. This current brochure is behind, it's not gonna be this one, I'm gonna be honest with you. We pulled that out, but it was in our last brochure that's mailed to every resident within the district. Advertising nominations were being accepted. I understand it's, some of it's out of sight, out of mind. I got this in September and this event's in May. I don't need to worry about it now.
Well, that's a good thought. Yeah, we would go through that. But I think our organizations need to be partnering with us a little harder and a little stronger.
I agree.
This is part of them, part of us. I think the mayor keeps saying, we work better, we work better together. Well, I don't think that's really taking place right now.
Right.
I agree. We have at least 4 community partners, the American Legion, the VFW, Lions Club and Rotary. And we get significant, well, I say decent participation from the VFW. We don't get a huge turnout from the American Legion, unfortunately. To be honest, we've tried and they responded that
They were at the last.
they were at the last one with a few members. 3, I want to
I
say.
think they were.
Yeah.
They were part of the ceremony.
Part of it was because of the member being added to the wall that year, and Donna was very adamant in getting people out there. Rotary and Lions Club are very, Rotary has been very supportive financially with the wall in the last couple of years. In covering the cost of adding the names to the plaque. Lions Club has dropped off. I'm sure, I don't know if you're all aware, but the benches that sit in front of the monument were donated by the Rotary and the Lions Club when it was first created about 20 years ago.
Well,
I don't know.
I won't say that they lost interest. I think like anything, right? The manpower of all this is really difficult for us. Right? Again, that committed person within their organizations as well. So we have one, they have one. We just have to be stronger at this.
We can do whatever the board is asking. Just understand it's going to take manpower and money. I don't know how much more, but it's something that we only have so much manpower to go around and we either have to take away from something else or bring on additional people to help with it.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't mean to say that, it should not be the reason.
No, and I completely agree, but we do have our hands are somewhat tied.
I understand. But I think we just have-
Frankly, now that we're operating the senior center, I don't want it to sound this way, but you would think we have a built-in audience for potential.
Have we pushed it there?
We have. We haven't got a great response. I don't know what the answer for it is. I don't know. I do know there are far more veterans in the community than that pass away on an annual basis and aren't being nominated. We have turned away people in the past that have not met the community service aspect of it. That is a very big portion of it.
No,
I'm not suggesting that we take that away by any means, but that may be a
We
limiting
haven't turned
factor.
away a lot,
But we
but
have turned away people.
we do, if people turn in an application and they don't say what they've done in the communities, we do say, we need community.
Yeah, but you made mention a minute ago, and I just wanted to just say, help them. I mean,
Yes.
You know, it's easier to say, you know, you don't have enough information, and to the conversation you said you had. I mean, I think it's just, you know, it does to me, you encourage it, you say it, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that, I didn't think about this, because everything that one does of their time within the community is valued, and that's why I think that this just has to be revived again, and I don't mean to say that, you know, I would have the answers, I'm just having the concern, and if there's anything I can do better and more time to it, I want to do it. But
Well, I think that David Barnes, for example, in his head has a list of people who he thinks would be eligible to be on the wall. I think we need to get that list from him and start exploring that. And I think that we need to reach out to the American Legion. And again, just literally the people on the wall, but also anybody that in the Legion past has, what do you call it? Has passed, but served and served the community. I also think we ought to look at our own selves. I mean, prior to us being a Parks Board, we were the West Riverside Memorial Parks District. We ought to look back at our board members. I'm sure some of them served in World War II. And, you know, they were long gone before this wall was ever created. We need to look back at our own past and find people who.
Do we still get any
available.
involvement from Country Village veterans groups?
No, I don't really think they have.
Because you know, they,
I don't think it exists anymore.
oh, well, I know that they have a newsletter for Country Village, so we should be able to advertise. We need to look into which organizations have newsletters and things and advertising that. I think that we should have at every event where we have a JRPD booth, there should be availability to applications and a sign and something there to advertise this and everything that we do.
Yeah.
Because I see people all the time at our events, they go through and they look at the papers there and they see what it is, and I've never seen one with this.
Yeah, do you have a River Valley veteran in your family?
You know, we need to have something at every event. We need to do a much better job at advertising this.
that's what I do, because it takes time. I strongly feel that see that. It has to be year round. It cannot be just a designated time. It's just too much to do and too important not to do it. So that being said, again, you asked, you know, should we have it, should we not have it? I feel strongly that we need to go forward and have, and however that is that we can. We're talking about what we need to do in the future, but right now, to say not to have anything, I'm not very comfortable with that.
Well, I mean, I think it would be virtually impossible to have something on this thing. I think it would be impossible to have something on Armed Forces Day. Do you need one?
All principal.
Okay. We couldn't have it by Armed Forces Day, could we? Or if we just have a small ceremony just to acknowledge the thing, I mean, what would we do?
It would be, the arm for May 20th is tight at this point. We do have a potential nominee.
I'm not.
If we,
I'm not even talking necessarily about doing a nominee. I'm just talking about having an event.
we could do something, is it to the standard we want with this short? It's gonna be tough, I'll be honest. If we wanted to consider still doing something this year, but maybe pushing it back a couple of weeks for a month this year, that would be a good thing probably. One of the challenges we had this year, and Mr. Barnes, who's historically been our MC, will not be available this year. His daughter sent him on a great trip and it just happens to coincide.
He wasn't available on
He
that.
wasn't available on that date, but he's available other dates. He has said he'd make himself available for it. Allegedly, we have heard there are a few potential nominees in the community that chose not to submit an application this year because he would not be available.
That's a wrong message.
I completely agree.
It is not his event. I respect the man. I don't know him. It has to be ours so that we're gonna work hard at it and supply the manpower that it's gonna take.
So,
The message was not necessarily from him. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's just, but if people feel that way, there's only so much you can do.
We really need to figure out a plan and what to do. Because we know David Barnes is not gonna be available forever. And he doesn't, I mean, all the years I've attended with you, he does an excellent job. You know, but, we really need to find a different way of an MC maybe within our own organization. I don't know, but
and the recreation facilities committee, we talked about this. And we came up with some pretty good options, I think. You know, we have some members of our community that are local celebrity per se, professional news people. That would make a great option. There's other people within their community that are capable of doing it. There's nothing that says our standing president of the board couldn't be the MC for the year. You know, there's things that we can look at. That's not the.
But it was somewhat the thought at this one, so.
It was one of our it was one of our big challenges this year.
So it's a takeaway and.
Yeah, no, completely. You know, so there's things that we can do in regards to that. Another thing that I think that maybe this is an opportunity for us to do is we've always done it one way. You know, we have a program that's what we started out for that year. Okay, this is what we did last year. How do we want to rearrange these songs? Who do we want to have do this? Who do we want to have do that? You know, it doesn't have to be a cookie cutter event.
No, it shouldn't.
We can start over. And maybe we're lacking some, because it's lacking something new and different. That's why attendance has dwindled over the past.
it was a big deal with Bob did the flyover that one year. That brought people out. It
Well, we
just
got
was-
lucky,
Yeah,
plain and
you
simple.
know, no, I know that it's, but I mean, maybe we could figure out something to
Well,
do, you know, to.
And the reality is, we all know that a lot of it on the attendance depend upon who it was in the community that's being added that year. How many people, how much family still have left in the community? Family and friends are in the community. That's a big, that's a big influx of people. Other than that, I think we could all name off the standard people that we know, no matter what, are gonna be in the audience for this event. By 15 or 20 of them, and they're the same ones that show up to Rotary meetings, the same ones that show up to the Lions Club, City Council, you know, things along those
Yeah.
lines. And how do we expand beyond that?
Well, that would be our goal, right? Ultimately, it is that the same ones come, but we want to get everybody to watch the community. It's really the community that I think we want to get to.
And that's why we need to advertise every event that we have, some way, somehow. Have it out there so people see it and know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, Molly would be a good one because she knows exactly. She's a
This is-
go-getter.
We can create I have some ideas. We can create something that's popped up at the event, so it's always there. Not an afterthought. You know, we have to move it around some so it doesn't become stagnant and people just get tired of seeing it and pass over that they've seen it. But we can make that happen.
But I guess the real discussion is, do we have it this year? I mean, all these things are good, but
Right, right.
do we want to have it?
I thought, excuse me, I thought that Corey said maybe putting it out a month. I feel that would be at least something, but again, I would not want nothing.
I would feel much better putting it out. I'd have to look at a calendar, talk with staff. No more than 4 weeks, because now we're too close to July 3rd. We got Father's Day that ties in there. Luckily, schools are out of school earlier, so we're not competing with graduations and stuff. And it gives us time to do a proper event.
I mean, I think part of what I'm hearing is, and it's exciting what I'm hearing, is a lot of good stuff, but we're not gonna get that good stuff done between now
No,
and the third week.
I think that the board needs to understand this event will be
Yes.
very similar to what we've done in the past. Minus, there's a potential we can have a name. But
I'm
I'm struggling with what the event is. I'm sorry.
I'm torn right now, but I mean, if we decided, you know what? We didn't really get any names this year. We have one that's not even finished the application process. Maybe we just need to regroup and then just go forward next year. We start immediately finding names. We start immediately talking about it, you know, making it a new and exciting, better event. And I would almost rather do that than use up that same energy trying to get something done by June and then have to start over for the next year. That would be what I'm just putting that out there.
You know, as much as I agree, I want to have the event, but I really believe that if we put on a less than event, it's not going to draw in people for next year.
And it's
And
also
to
not.
put on a less than event, just to put on an event,
What is
I
it?
don't think is the way, although I agree with you on, you know, as the only veteran on this board, believe me, I agree with it, you know, but I don't want to go to an event that goes, yeah, I'm not coming back next year.
No, I don't think we have the attendance to really bring that, and I will stay strong with it. I'm really wanting something, and we're already saying, we'll not be in the good. That's okay. The idea that we have, that the community said, we will be doing this, we should have always been doing it, and I don't need to throw anything bad in here. I just want to go forward, but I want it to be something, and then we'll make it better. We'll have bigger audience. We're going to really focus on doing that. I don't think that doing something, I don't think we're trying to just put something out there, but we say we're looking forward to really growing, blah, 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 whatever that takes. And if it's the president to be the spokesperson, I think that's even better because it does say that we the part of really take them a hold of this and we're going to go forward with it.
I think this item is for, how we can fortify the agenda for the future. I think if we delay or we do it sometime later, I think just lose its meaning. So it wouldn't be really much of a stronger than I agree. But I really do think for next year moving forward.
Absolutely.
So I mean, saying that I think I would be okay. We don't have it this year.
Mr. Cadenas?
Yes, I agree. I'm in favor with the hard reset and it sounds like we'd be forcing the event if we made it this year. I don't know what it looked like when we combined it with July 3rd, July 4th.
It's only that.
I'm gonna be honest, I would fight on that day. Our event has gotten so big, fast staff to work that entire July 3rd and a couple of them come the next day to put this event on the next morning. It would,
And that's something.
that's just not fair. It wouldn't be fair to the event. Right. We've always done Memorial Armed Forces Day. I think that's the great day. One of the challenges we face is the next weekend. We all know is Memorial Day weekend, and we are so close to the National Cemetery. I think that does impact our event some. That people won't go to the event next weekend. So we have to figure out a way to make this event special. And I think what I could do is we could sit down and I could have staff focus on some stuff and really come back with a revamped plan, and we can bring back like in a workshop form to the board, early summer and start solidifying that. And the plan would include how we're going to mark this annually, what it is we would need to do that, and then what the structure of the revamped event would look like, what type of outside participation, we would look for. I think a lot of people like the band. We like the reading of the names, the bagpiper and stuff like that, but what else do we need all that? Do we, we can start looking at how we can do.
Right, yeah, the ringing of the bell is such a tradition.
No, exactly. No, I'm saying that would be
Yeah.
nice, but
But there's so much other things. This event has gotten a tad stale.
Mhm.
Um,
I always thought it was great when we had the
I agree with the reboot. No,
the color guard or with the rifles.
Oh, yeah.
right.
The honor guard, what's that? And then they did the 21 gun salute and stuff, and we've lost that through the years and stuff like that. What can we do to add something to it? So I think we can talk with staff and bring something back.
So can we bring it back for the entire board? Because it seems like this is a little more productive And
If you want to bring it to the committee first or the board?
probably the
Let's go straight, yeah, what's the point of it? Yeah, I.
Yeah, in this situations we're discussing here, I think that would be fine, and we can,
maybe like a workshop.
yeah, make it a workshop and talk about it, but again, it's all aspects, and I'm gonna ask that it's not just put on staff. You know, some of this is gonna have to come participation at a board level. You know, we can provide you with the tools or whatever, you know, you guys are members of other agencies and stuff, and you're out in the community, and as Kim kind of said, oh, your grandfather's in the community, your father or whatever. You
Well,
know,
when Kim had mentioned about the American Legion, I realized I have an in with somebody that's very active in that organization. I would be more than happy to discuss this with that person.
well, and something
try
that
to
popped
get
up
some
in my
more-
here is maybe we develop a promotional flyer and just, we take it down to Riverview Mortuary. And see if we can develop, you know, have it just a flyer there, you know, that's.
Yeah. I
So
will-
we never even realized it.
And that's why I think the workshop is a good idea, because we're spending a lot of time on this right now. and I
Yeah.
just
Well,
think that-
we're so off topic still, but
But yeah, I think everybody has great input. I think everybody in here, in this room has had something to offer to this. And that's why a nice workshop, we can take some notes, we can start writing down, maybe even have some staff member, you know, in here that is gonna help out with this to understand what's going on. I think that would be a great idea.
I got some things already formulated in my head, how we can work this with. It's gonna be a combination of staff, not just any one person.
Yeah.
So.
You know what we kind of need, I wish, we need someone in the community, there was a gentleman who used to, in some ways it was a little fast, but the second someone he knew who was qualified for the board of the wall passed away, he submitted an application. And in some ways that was a
Well,
little too
and-
quick, but at this other
Yeah, I
time, it
think
was
that
great.
Lynn Craig
And a lot of people
kind
got, yeah,
of pointed to that.
but a lot of people ended up on the wall that may not have otherwise ended up on it because he was,
Pushing for it.
pushing for it, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Maybe it's not so much that they are pushing for the nomination and having it for this year, but they are giving us that information to add to our list, so we
Right.
don't forget about it.
And what's the time span you need to get the plaque done and all that?
It's about 4.5 weeks. Yeah, it's a, to be honest, it's an old school process. They gotta print it up. They come out here, they remove the plaque from the wall, they take it to their shop at Riverside, they lay it out, they engrave it, they bring it back, put it back up on the wall. So it's not a quick and easy process.
So leave the deadline solid, but this accept application seems.
Cool, yeah. Push.
Well, we always have, but we just haven't pushed,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Typically started the
then
start.
start promoting it for the next year, right after the event, you know, or maybe right after the 4th of July, maybe give it that little week or so,
Okay.
you know, and.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, one of the things, the challenges that we've also had over the year is that when this all started, graduation was middle of June. Now graduation is right around the same time we're having it. It just makes
Couple
it
days later.
a little more complicated in terms of getting those high school kids to come and play and this and that and the other. And who knows, maybe we, change that. We can have a harvest, what do you call a harvest? Violinist, we could have all kinds of things. Okay, do you feel like you found your direction?
I believe so.
Okay, and now. Okay, thank you very much. So.
The minutes reflect Mr. Castellani is leaving at 7:36.
7:34. Okay, general manager report?
Yeah, a couple of things I want to share with the board here. The first one is made my day, frankly. We received a letter from the California Association of Park and Recreation Districts informing us that Shadow Rock Park has been awarded the award of distinction for outstanding new facility. And that'll be awarded at their conference in May. So that was something I had submitted on our behalf and was pleased to receive that. So very excited. The other thing I want to share with the board, I'll pass this around here. And copy, audience member, if you'd like to see, you guys know I'm a numbers person. And this is in regards to recreation. There's some numbers on the front page. a graph on the back. Spreadsheet. That's nothing, sir.
Oh, well, I go.
I guess we'll see. Shortly after I started here in the district, in 2016, we went to our recreation software, Civic, not called Civic Rec. Before that, we had a tracking mechanism for our registrations and stuff like that. So this is just a monthly total of our total revenue and recreation, broken down by month, by fiscal year. You can see that first year was only for 10 months worth of revenue, but we only brought in $137,000 for that year. We showed great growth, and then this little 2020 incident happened here.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of negative numbers there, zeros. Just showing how the pandemic, decimated us. We were as high as 300,000 in revenue going into the pandemic year, and we dropped back down to 170 with 5 months of $0, and 1 month of negative revenue, a couple months of into 2020 of negative revenue as well. I want to really show where we were at last fiscal year. The end of last fiscal year, we ended at $904,000 in total revenue. To date, we were at $873,000. We're going to break $1 million in revenue this year in recreation. This is phenomenal. This really is kudos to our recreation staff. They are doing a great job putting together these activities. I'm very proud of them. I just wanted to share this with you. I gave them the $1 million challenge a couple of weeks back, knowing that we were going to crush it. Hadn't necessarily shared this revenue with them, and they jumped on it. So it's something I'm very proud of. Just a quick recap at our Meet the Machine. We've had meetings since Meet the Machine. No, we haven't. Meet the Machines was great.
Yes.
For those who attended, phenomenal. We've had nothing but positive comments about it. One thing we can do better in the future is adding more machines. We talked about that at staff meeting today, so we're very proud of that one. And then May the 10th is our Jump Fest. First year we're having this. It's an event we planned last year. May 10th, right?
Well, it's May 6th. May 6th.
May 6th. I'm sorry, May 6th. May 10th is our board meeting. May 11th is our board. I'm all confused. So that is going to be at Granola Park. We're really excited about that. We're getting a lot of great publicity on social media right now. It's going to be a really fun event. The contractor that we have contracted with for all the jumpers, Molly came into my office the other day and said, "Hey, can we add a foam pit to the Jump Fest?" I'm like, "I kind of already maxed on our budget here, Molly. It's first year." Well, I think we can afford it. He just bought it. He wants to give it to us for free to test it out. Oh, so right, all right, perfect. Right to our yeah. So we've added the foam pit to it. I think she said 40 by 40. I think it's 40 by 40, 3 feet high, kind of an inflatable wall thing that they shoot the foam into for the kids to run around and play in and run for about an hour and a half. So we're really excited for this event. Please come out and attend, bring your family. That's about it for me this evening.
If we're not gonna jump, can we just walk in and see what's going on?
No, everybody's got to have looks. That's one of the things with this event, because there are other activities for them. We're getting a lot of
Okay.
that. It's just kind of like Disneyland.
Okay, so it's not like Halloween where the
Yeah.
parents get.
No, it's not like Halloween, because the parents can jump. We're encouraging this to be a parent participation event.
Oh, okay.
Yes. These events, these jumpers are specifically designed and big enough to take, it's not a bounce house. It's large activities. There's a climbing wall. So it is.
Pray for no
Oh,
one.
good.
Yes, and this will be the first event that we do have a beer and wine portion of the event. It is something we're not necessarily advertising and making a huge push on. But it is part of it. Frankly, we don't want to get anybody to have too much in them to jump and get sick. So there is limits on what will be sold, how much will be sold. It's purposely on the higher end to discourage excessive drinking, and it will be fun. We've hired a professional company to come out and they bring out it's an old like 50s panel wagon truck with tap built into it type of deal, pretty cool. So we'll be live music playing as well. So I'd love to see everybody there.
Thank you. Is that all you have?
I'm sure there's more, but
Okay. Well, Mr. Castellon is not here. Mr. Gooding.
Yes, sorry I couldn't go to the review meetings. Worked that day, but I'm glad to hear it was a great turnout. I'm sure, you know, hearing how we had a great turnout with that and had a great turnout with spring cleaning, pretty sure Jump Fest is gonna be successful. Sounds fun, honestly.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it, pretty much it. Looking forward to the summer as well.
Mrs. Byrne.
Yes, I'm happy to hear how our plans for this fall. To get involved with that.
Mr. Leisure.
Yeah, Meet the Machines was great. My grandchildren had a fantastic time. My granddaughter thought Sammy was awesome. Who? My mascot,
Sunny,
Sonny. Sorry, I said Sammy, Sonny.
I thought that was their canine dog.
The one thing she was disappointed in though, she saw the horse trailer and saw the fake horse and didn't realize it was fake. We went running up to it and looked inside, just, you know, so disappointed. Yelled at them for tricking her. Yeah, they literally went into every single vehicle and tried on everything and drove the sewer rat and did all that great stuff and, you know, put on the fireman's coat and the hose and did the whole, I got photos like crazy. So yeah, it was, they really, really enjoyed it. I was thrilled they were able to make it. Looking forward to the Jump Fest. Sounds like a really great event coming up.
Yeah.
We're happy, so thank you.
I went to Meet the Machines and that was very enjoyable. I'm gonna be honest with you, Caltrans was there with their machine that they clean the freeways with. It's fascinating. It's like they clean and it goes into this container, which they lift up because of course they're dumping that container into a truck. If you think about it, that's why they're gonna clean out the container and keep on going. And so it's fascinating. He was describing it to us and we're like, oh, that makes perfect sense, but we would have never guessed that that's what that did. And we found out that they clean, basically those machines are out 24/7, 365, cleaning the freeways. I know, you would never guess it, but they are. They're out cleaning the freeways all the time.
Yeah, we say the Meet the Machines is for the kids. I really think the adults enjoy it just as much.
I'm telling you, I don't care how old you get. Big machines are awesome.
But I'm
So-
gonna tell you, I did not go into the prisoner bus. The sheriff department had a prisoner bus there and I just am like, you know what, haven't been in the prisoner bus yet. I can stay up.
And you know, my grandkids thought that was awesome, being
Yeah.
locked in the cage. They
Oh,
really
Isn't
enjoyed
that
it.
funny?
I don't know
Yes.
why, but
Anyway, yes, so that was very enjoyable event and I'm really looking forward to upcoming events and I'm really looking forward to our master plan. I think it's going to be an amazing way to reach out to our community and find out what our community wants and needs in terms of recreation. And I'm really looking forward to finding out what they say. And that was all that I have to say. Future committee meetings, budget and personnel is meeting May 2nd. Any items for future board meetings? Not hearing any. Our upcoming meetings, May 11th, and in May 25th. So I will go ahead and we will adjourn our meeting at 7:54. Thank you all very much.
44.
7:44. I can't read. 7:44. I have been lost any of the reasons.
Thank you, Bob. You're muted, but I got you. You'll call me tomorrow. You're muted.
no monster truck this year?
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Yes, we'll talk tomorrow. I just want you to know that I will fly down there and personally witness it if board member Ross Legia is going to jump in to a foam pit. I'll be there.
Did you hear that, Ross?
He said,
Bob said he'd fly down here if you were jumping into the boat.
Really? We'll have to see. Right, we'll have to see. No guarantees.
The jokes are free of charge. So,
Thanks, Bob.
see you all later.
bye-bye.
Bye, Bob.
But I'll turn that on.
Please.